The Miami night pulsed with heat, the neon glow of Ocean Drive seeping through the floor-to-ceiling windows of my 35th floor condo. Nick Harper, a 35-year-old tech entrepreneur, sprawled on the leather couch, my phone buzzing with notifications from X. My startup had just landed a $10 million deal and life felt like it was finally clicking until I heard her. Jessica, my wife of 8 years, was in the kitchen, her voice a hushed blade slicing through the hum of the AC. Once Nick's inheritance hits, we're set, babe. We split it and disappear. Just keep it quiet. My heart slammed against my ribs like a caged animal. Babe? Who the hell was she talking to? I muted my phone, my fingers trembling as I slid off the couch, socks silent on the polished hardwood. The marble island hid me as I peeked into the kitchen. Jessica paced, her auburn hair twirling around her finger, a nervous habit I used to find adorable. Now it made my stomach churn. She giggled, her voice low and conspiratorial. Love you too, Ethan. See you tomorrow. Ethan. My best friend since MIT. The lanky cybersecurity nude who'd crashed on our couch after late-night coding sessions, who'd toasted at our wedding, who I trusted with my company's firewalls. My vision blurred, rage and betrayal colliding like a storm in my chest. I wanted to storm in, rip the phone from her hand, and demand answers, but I didn't. I sank back onto the couch, my breath shallow, as she hummed a pop song, oblivious, pouring herself a glass of rose like she hadn't just shattered my world. 8 years. 8 years of building a life together, weekends sailing the Keys, her head on my shoulder during late-night movie marathons, the way she'd clung to me when my dad passed last year, leaving me his $10 million estate. Now it all clicked, like a puzzle I'd been too blind to solve. Her late nights at her marketing firm, coming home with a faint whiff of cedar cologne instead of her usual citrus perfume. The way she dodged my questions about her day with that polished smile. I blamed it on stress, my dad's death, the inheritance paperwork, the pressure of my startup. But stress didn't make you call your husband's best friend babe. Stress didn't make you plan to steal his fortune. I clenched my fists, nails biting into my palms as the Miami skyline glittered outside. Jessica thought she had me fooled, that I was just the clueless tech bro handing her a payday. Ethan, the guy I bailed out when his startup tanked, was in on it too. My mind raced, replaying every moment, every late-night work call she took in the other room, every time Ethan dropped by with that smug grin, fiddling with his laptop. They weren't just cheating. They were plotting something bigger, something that could ruin me. I wasn't going to let them. Not without a fight. I didn't sleep that night. My laptop glowed in the dark as I scoured X for clues, my paranoia spiking with every vague post Jessica had liked, a cryptic quote about new beginnings, a photo of a beach captioned freedom. By 3 a.m. I was wired, coffee burning a hole in my stomach, my anger hardening into resolve. Confronting her would be too easy. She'd lie, cry, play the victim. Ethan would back her up, gaslighting me like the pro he was. No. I needed proof, cold, undeniable evidence to shove in their faces when I turned their game against them. The next evening, Jessica fed me her usual excuse, client dinner downtown. Don't wait up. She grabbed her purse, her heels clicking as she bolted out the door, leaving a trail of that unfamiliar cologne. I didn't buy it for a second. I grabbed my keys, my pulse pounding, and slipped into my black SUV. The Miami streets buzzed with life, tourists snapping selfies, bass thumping from clubs, but my focus was razor sharp. I tailed her Tesla, keeping a safe distance, my hands sweaty on the wheel. She didn't head to the glitzy restaurants of South Beach. Instead, she veered toward the city's edge, pulling into the lot of the Starlight Motel, a rundown dump with a flickering sign and peeling paint. I parked across the street, behind a rusted dumpster, my SUV blending into the shadows. Through the humid air, I watched her stride to room 9, her confidence infuriating. 5 minutes later, Ethan's beat-up sedan screeched into the lot. My gut twisted as he slipped into the room, Jessica's laugh echoing through the cracked window. I fumbled my phone, zoomed in, and hit record. The blinds were half open, revealing their silhouettes, her leaning close, him typing furiously on a laptop. This wasn't just a fling. They were scheming, their heads bent over some device with blinking lights, like Ethan's old hacking gear from college. My breath fogged the window as I filmed, rage simmering. Part of me wanted to kick down the door, drag them out, and scream until the cops came. But I stayed put, my phone steady, capturing every second. Whatever they were planning, stealing my inheritance, maybe worse, I'd make them regret it. I wasn't the guy they thought they could play. Not anymore. The Starlight Motel's neon sign buzzed like a dying insect, casting a sickly glow over the cracked asphalt. I, Nick Harper, sat in my SUV, my phone still recording through the humid Miami night. Jessica's laugh, sharp, carefree, cut through the half-open blinds of room 9, where she and Ethan, my traitorous best friend, hunched over a laptop. This wasn't just an affair. The blinking red lights on Ethan's black box, a hacking rig I'd seen him tinker with back at MIT, told me they were cooking up something far worse than cheating. My inheritance, $10 million from my dad's estate, was their target, and I was determined to unravel their plan before they could bury me. I zoomed in, capturing Ethan's fingers flying across the keyboard, Jessica nodding as she pointed at the screen. My hands shook, rage simmering, but I forced myself to stay calm. Charging in would only tip them off. I needed evidence, something airtight to expose them. As their silhouettes moved, I caught a glimpse of a spreadsheet, numbers flashing like a digital heist. My gut twisted. Were they siphoning my company's accounts? Hacking the estate? I stopped recording, my breath fogging the window, and sank back, the weight of their betrayal crushing me. 8 years of marriage, a decade of friendship reduced to this grimy motel room. Back at the condo, I didn't confront Jessica. She came home at 1 a.m., her cedar-scented cologne trailing behind her, and kissed my cheek like nothing was wrong. Long day, she sighed, slipping into bed. I lay awake, staring at the ceiling, my mind racing. Ethan's tech skills were lethal. He bragged about cracking bank systems in college, always with that cocky grin. Jessica's charm and PR connections made her the perfect front. Together, they were a machine, and I was their mark. But I wasn't going down without a fight. The next morning, I called in sick to my startup and got to work. First, I needed to know what they were planning. I borrowed a burner phone from a bodega clerk I knew, no questions asked, just a $50 handshake. Posing as a shady client, I texted Ethan, heard you handle discreet jobs. Need a big score. You in. His reply came fast, all business, name the target. Cash up front. Meet at Rusty's bar, 8 p.m. I smirked, pocketing the burner. He didn't suspect a thing. I wasn't meeting him, but his response confirmed he wasn't just Jessica's side piece, he was running a side hustle, and I was his latest job. Next, I needed dirt from Jessica's end. She'd left her laptop on the kitchen counter, a careless mistake. Her password, still JessieStar88, the same one from our dating days, unlocked a goldmine. I dug through her emails, my heart pounding. Hidden in a folder labeled Work, I found encrypted messages to Ethan. One read, Estate lawyer's system is compromised. Push the $10 million transfer by Friday. Another mentioned a Vince with a cryptic line, he'll handle the accident once the money's ours. My blood ran cold. An accident? Were they planning to kill me? I copied the emails to a USB drive, my hands trembling. Then I found a bank statement, my company's account drained of $50,000 over 6 months, funneled to an offshore account in Ethan's name. He'd been stealing from me using his admin access to my startup servers. The final blow was a draft contract, faked to make it look like I'd signed over the inheritance to Jessica. They weren't just after the money, they wanted me erased, my death staged as a tragic mishap. The motel wasn't their love nest, it was their war room. I slammed the laptop shut, my chest heaving. I wanted to scream, to smash every framed photo of us smiling, our wedding, our trip to the Bahamas. Instead, I grabbed a coffee and sat on the balcony, the Miami heat pressing against me. I replayed a memory, Ethan, broke and desperate, begging me to invest in his failed app. I'd written him a check, no questions asked, because that's what friends do. And Jessica, her tears when I proposed, her laugh when we danced in the rain. All lies. My coffee went cold as I stared at the skyline, plotting my next move. I needed an ally. Enter Mia, my old college friend turned private investigator. Over beers at a dive bar, I spilled everything, the motel, the emails, Vince. Mia's eyes narrowed, her PI instincts kicking in. Ethan's sloppy, she said, tapping her phone. If he's hacking, he's left a trail. And this Vince guy? I'll dig into him. Sounds like a fixer. She agreed to shadow Ethan, no charge, her own history of betrayal fueling her fire. My ex cleaned out my savings, she admitted, her voice tight. I get it, Nick. Let's nail them. Mia's first report came fast. Ethan had met a guy matching Vince's description, shaved head, leather jacket, at a warehouse near the port. They'd exchanged a burner phone and a wad of cash. Mia's photos showed Ethan nervous, glancing over his shoulder. Vince, whoever he was, wasn't just a hired hand, he was calling shots. My mind raced. Was Vince the key to their plan? Or a loose end I could exploit? I saved Mia's files, my resolve hardening. Jessica and Ethan thought they were untouchable, but I was closing in. That night, I uploaded my motel footage to a secure cloud, password protected. I wasn't ready to go public, not yet. But every email, every photo, every text was a weapon. They wanted my money, my life. I'd turn their scheme inside out, expose them to the world, and make them pay legally, methodically, mercilessly. As I watched Jessica sleep, her face soft in the moonlight, I felt no love, only purpose. The game was on, and I was playing to win. The Miami dawn painted the sky in streaks of pink, but I, Nick Harper, felt no warmth. Holed up in my startup's empty office, I pored over the evidence I'd gathered: motel footage, Jessica's emails, Ethan's offshore accounts draining my company. My wife of 8 years and my best friend were plotting to steal my $10 million inheritance and stage my accidental death to cover it. The burner phone buzzed with Mia's latest update. Vince, their shady fixer, had been spotted at a dive bar, passing Ethan a USB drive. Whatever was on it, I needed to act fast. They thought they had me cornered, but I was about to flip the board. I couldn't confront them yet. Jessica's charm and Ethan's lies would twist any showdown in their favor. Instead, I'd hit them where it hurt, their wallets and their confidence. Step 1 was to protect the $10 million. I called my dad's estate lawyer, a grizzled vet named Carla, and fed her a half-truth. I suspect fraud on the account. Can you delay the transfer? She didn't blink, locking the funds behind a legal firewall. Done, she said. No one's touching it without a court order. Strike one against their plan. Next, I needed to make them panic. Using a VPN and a fake email, I sent Ethan a taunting message from Vince: price just doubled. Pay up or I talk. His reply came in minutes, frantic: don't screw me over. Where do we meet? I didn't respond, letting him stew. Mia's photos showed him pacing outside his apartment, chain-smoking, his cool hacker vibe crumbling. Jessica was next. I hacked her calendar. Her password was still laughably weak, and planted a fake meeting with estate auditor at a non-existent firm. She'd show up to an empty office, sweating, wondering who was onto her. But the real play was bigger. I needed to vanish, make them think I was out of the picture, so they'd slip up. Faking my death was too risky, too many cops, too many questions. Instead, I'd stage a disappearance, leaving a trail that screamed trouble. I called Tony, a high school buddy who ran a sketchy auto shop near the Everglades. Need a favor, I said, meeting him at his garage, the air thick with oil and rust. Can you torch my SUV somewhere remote? Make it look like I skipped town. Tony grinned, wiping grease off his hands. For you? I'll throw in some smoke. Case of beer says we're square. I nodded, handing him $5,000 from my emergency stash. That night, Tony drove my SUV to a swampy stretch off I-75, doused it with gas, and lit it up. The flames roared, black smoke curling into the sky, the vehicle reduced to a charred husk. I tossed my phone and wallet into the wreckage, keeping only my burner and a backpack with $50,000 I drained from our joint account. Tony dropped me at a Fleabag motel on the city's edge, where I paid cash and checked in as John Smith. By morning, Miami news was buzzing. Tech CEO Nick Harper missing after car fire. The article speculated I'd fled deaths or worse. Perfect. Jessica played her part like an Oscar contender. Mia, staking out our condo, sent me footage of her sobbing to reporters, clutching a photo of us from our Bahamas trip. I just want him home, she choked out, mascara streaking. I watched from my motel room, the grainy TV flickering, and smirked. She wasn't grieving, she was terrified. The inheritance was frozen, Ethan was unraveling, and now I was gone. Mia's next text confirmed it. Jessica had trashed her office, screaming at Ethan over the phone. You said this was foolproof, she hissed. He hung up, leaving her spiraling. But I wasn't done. I needed to tighten the noose. Using a burner laptop, I forged documents tying the $10 million to a fake creditor, a loan shark named Marco Ruiz. The papers, emailed to Carla under a dummy account, claimed I borrowed against the estate, defaulted, and owed $12 million. Carla, bless her, didn't question it. She sent the docs to court, freezing the funds indefinitely. Jessica's dreams of a payday were ash, just like my SUV. Mia caught her at a cafe, meeting a shady lawyer, begging for a way to unfreeze the money. The lawyer shrugged, leaving her pale and shaking. Then came the twist I didn't see coming. Mia tailed Ethan to a pier at midnight, where he met Vince again. This time, Vince wasn't playing nice. Mia's audio, recorded from a distance, picked up fragments. You screwed up. I don't work for free. Harper's not dead. My pulse spiked. Vince knew I was alive? How? Ethan stammered, promising more cash, but Vince walked away, tossing the USB drive into the water. Mia's text was blunt. Vince is trouble. He's not their pawn. He's running his own game. My mind raced. Was Vince double-crossing them? Or hunting me? I leaned back on the motel's lumpy bed, the hum of traffic outside my window. My evidence, emails, footage, bank records, was locked in the cloud. ready to bury Jessica and Ethan. But Vince was a wild card, a shadow I hadn't planned for. I texted Mia, "Dig deeper on Vince. We're not done." She replied with a thumbs up, her determination matching mine. Jessica and Ethan thought they'd won, but I was rewriting their ending. I wasn't just surviving, I was building a trap, and they were walking right into it. The motel room smelled of stale cigarettes and regret, but I, Nick Harper, felt alive. Huddled over my burner laptop in the flickering light, I watched Miami's X feeds explode with speculation about my disappearance. My torched SUV, the frozen $10 million inheritance, and Jessica's crocodile tears on the news had thrown her and Ethan into chaos. My evidence, motel footage, hacked emails, proof of Ethan's offshore accounts, was locked in the cloud, ready to strike. With Mia, my PI ally, feeding me intel, I was one step away from dismantling their scheme. But the wild card, Vince, their fixer, knew I wasn't dead. Time to tighten the screws. Mia's latest report was a bombshell. She'd bugged Ethan's car, catching him ranting to Jessica, "Vince is out of control. He wants triple now, or he's selling us out." Jessica's voice cracked, desperate. "Fix it, Ethan. We're broke without that money." Their alliance was fracturing, and I'd make sure it shattered. I'd already frozen the inheritance with fake creditor docs, but now I needed to expose them, publicly, legally, and permanently. My plan: reappear as a ghost from their nightmares, unravel their lies, and let the world see their true faces. First, I needed a disguise. At a thrift store near the motel, I grabbed a cheap suit, a fake mustache, and a pair of horn-rimmed glasses. In the cracked mirror, I barely recognized myself. Nick Harper, tech CEO, was now Eddie Vance, a debt collector with a forged ID. Mia couldn't stop laughing when I sent her a selfie. "You look like a bad accountant," she texted, adding, "Vince just met Ethan again. Sounded like a threat. Stay sharp." Her words chilled me. Vince was a predator and I was on his radar. But I wasn't backing down. I hacked Ethan's email, planting a fake message from Marco Ruiz, my fictional loan shark, demanding a meeting at their condo. Jessica, already paranoid, would crumble under the pressure. Meanwhile, I leaked a teaser to an ex-gossip account, a blurry still from the motel footage, captioned, "Miami CEO's wife caught scheming. Who's the guy?" The post went viral, racking up 50K reposts in hours. Comments flooded in. "That's Jessica Harper. What's she hiding?" Her perfect image was cracking, and I hadn't even played my full hand. The showdown came at dusk. I rolled up to our condo, Eddie Vance in full effect, briefcase stuffed with forged debt papers. The doorman, new and clueless, let me in. My heart pounded as I knocked on the door. Jessica answered, her face pale, eyes bloodshot. "Who are you?" she snapped, clutching a wine glass. I adjusted my glasses, voice low. "Eddie Vance, representing Marco Ruiz. You owe $12 million on the Harper estate. Pay up, or we seize everything." She froze, the glass slipping from her hand, shattering on the hardwood. "That's impossible," she stammered. "My husband's gone." I leaned in, dropping the act. "Miss me, Jessica?" Her scream echoed as she lunged at me, swinging a designer purse. I sidestepped, the bag smacking the wall. "You're alive?" she shrieked, stumbling back. "You set me up." I tossed the debt papers on the counter, smirking. "You and Ethan thought you could steal my life. Game's over." Her eyes darted to her phone, but I'd already jammed her Wi-Fi with a script from my laptop. No calls, no backup. Just her and the truth. Chaos erupted. Jessica grabbed a lamp, hurling it at me. I ducked, and it crashed into a framed photo of us, glass raining down. "You ruined everything," she yelled, tears mixing with rage. I stayed calm, voice cold. "You ruined yourself. I've got the emails, the bank transfers, your little motel meetings." Her face crumpled as movers I'd hired stormed in, seizing her designer bags, art, even the couch. "Court order," I said, waving the fake papers. She collapsed onto the floor, sobbing, as her world was boxed up. Then the real twist hit. Mia texted, "Ethan's outside. He knows you're here. My pulse spiked. I glanced at the balcony, his sedan idled below, headlights glaring. But he wasn't alone. Vince stepped out, his shaved head gleaming under a streetlight, a smirk on his face. Mia's earlier hunch was right, Vince wasn't their lackey. He'd been playing them, and now he was here for me. I grabbed my burner, ready to bolt, but Jessica's phone buzzed. A voicemail from Vince, autoplaying. Harper's alive, and you're done. Pay me or I send the cops your way. Jessica's jaw dropped. He's betraying us, she whispered, then turned to me, wild-eyed. Nick, please, we can fix this. I laughed, backing toward the door. Fix it with the police. I posted the full motel footage on X, tagged with hashtag Miami Betrayal. It exploded, 100K reposts in minutes, the internet tearing into Jessica and Ethan. Sirens wailed in the distance. Vince and Ethan peeled out, tires screeching, but I knew they couldn't run far. I slipped into the night, my backpack heavy with $50,000 and my laptop. The condo was empty, Jessica's life in tatters. Vince was a problem, but his voicemail proved he'd turn on them for the right price. With Mia's help, I track him, hand my evidence to the cops, and end this. I wasn't just a survivor, I was a hunter, and their lies were my prey. The Miami night buzzed with distant sirens as I, Nick Harper, slipped away from the trashed condo, my heart pounding. The viral X post, motel footage of Jessica and Ethan scheming, had blown up, hitting 200K reposts, the internet shredding their lies with hashtags like hashtag Miami Betrayal. My wife of 8 years and my best friend were exposed, their $10 million inheritance plot in ruins. But Vince, their fixer, was still out there, his voicemail taunting. Harper's alive, and you're done. He wasn't just double-crossing them, he was hunting me. With $50,000 in my backpack and Mia, my PI ally, watching my back, I had one final move, hand my evidence to the cops and end this, legally, for good. I ducked into a 24-hour diner, the neon glow masking my thrift store disguise, fake mustache, glasses, and a cheap suit. My burner phone pinged with Mia's update, Ethan's holed up at his office. Jessica's at a hotel, freaking out. Vince just vanished, cops are circling. I sipped bitter coffee, my laptop open, replaying the chaos I'd unleashed. Jessica's plea, Nick, we can fix this. Echoed in my head, her desperation almost human. Almost, but the emails, bank records, and motel footage burned away any pity. They'd planned to stage my death. Forgiveness wasn't on the table. Then came the curveball. My burner buzzed with a text from an unknown number, meet me. Midnight. Old Pier. Come alone or I send everything to Vince. Jessica. My pulse spiked. Was she bluffing or had she found a way to track me? Mia warned me it was a trap, but I saw an opportunity. Jessica was cracking and Ethan was ditching her. I'd heard it in their bugged calls. If I could get her to confess, it'd seal their fate. I texted Mia, cover me at the pier. Bring the recorder. Her reply was instant, you're insane, but I'm in. At 11:55 p.m., I stood on the deserted pier, the ocean lapping below, the air thick with salt and tension. My Eddie Vance disguise was gone, replaced by a hoodie and jeans. Jessica emerged from the shadows, her designer coat absurd against the rotting wood. Nick, she whispered, her voice trembling. Ethan set me up. He faked those emails, pinned the whole plan on me. Please, you have to believe me. Her eyes, once warm, were frantic, darting like a cornered animal's. I stayed silent, letting her unravel. Vince was Ethan's idea, she continued, pacing. He said it'd be clean, an accident, no blood. I didn't want it. I wanted out. Her voice broke, tears streaming. For a split second, I remembered her laugh on our first date, the way she'd clung to me when my dad died. Then I saw the motel, her giggling with Ethan, the spreadsheet of my stolen money. Out? I said, voice low. You mean out with my $10 million and my corpse? She flinched, stepping back. Nick, Before she could finish, headlights cut through the dark. Ethan's sedan screeched to a stop, and he stumbled out, face pale, eyes wild. You traitor, he yelled at Jessica, then froze, spotting me. You're alive. His voice cracked, panic overtaking his usual swagger. I smirked. Disappointed? Mia's recorder, hidden in my pocket, caught every word. Ethan lunged toward Jessica, shouting, You let him hear. She shoved him back, screaming, You lied to me. You said Vince would handle it. Their shouting match was a gift. Ethan spilled everything, how he'd hacked my company's accounts, how Vince demanded $100,000 to clean up the mess, how he'd forged Jessica's emails to frame her if it went south. Jessica, sobbing, admitted to signing the fake estate contract, thinking it'd only take the money, not my life. I stood still, letting them bury themselves, until red and blue lights flashed in the distance. Mia's doing, she tipped the cops. Ethan bolted for his car, but squad cars blocked the pier. Jessica sank to her knees, mascara streaking, as officers cuffed them both. I handed Mia's recorder to a detective along with a USB drive, every email, bank transfer, and motel clip. "This'll put them away," the detective said, nodding. As they were led off, Jessica looked back, her eyes pleading. I turned away. She wasn't my wife anymore. She was a stranger who'd gambled my life and lost. Vince was the final piece. Mia tracked him to a bar near the port, where he was trying to sell Ethan's hacked data to a rival hacker. She tipped the feds, and they nabbed him mid-deal. His own burner phone loaded with texts proving he'd planned to extort Jessica and Ethan. In a twist, Vince cut a deal, handing over his records to save himself. They corroborated my evidence, tying Ethan to the offshore accounts and Jessica to the fake contract. The case was airtight. I could have disappeared with the $50,000, started over somewhere quiet. But running wasn't me. I met Carla, my dad's lawyer, and unfroze the inheritance, proving the Marco Ruiz debts were fake. The $10 million was mine again, but it felt hollow. I thought of Mia, who'd fought for me because her ex had betrayed her too. I thought of my company's clients, some scammed by Ethan's hacks. I didn't want the money to define me. It had nearly destroyed me. So I made a choice. I donated $5 million to a Miami nonprofit helping victims of financial fraud, naming it after my dad. At the opening, I met Lena, a single mom whose savings Ethan had drained. Her gratitude, raw and real, hit harder than any revenge. I kept the other $5 million to rebuild my startup, hiring Mia as my security chief. Her first act, a company-wide audit to plug Ethan's holes. "No more back doors," she said, grinning. I laughed, the first real laugh in months. I posted my story on X, not for clout, but to warn others. "Betrayal hurts, but revenge doesn't heal," I wrote. "Fight smart, fight legal, and rebuild stronger." It went viral, 500K reposts, with comments from strangers sharing their own scars. I didn't reply, I was done living in the past. Jessica and Ethan faced fraud and conspiracy charges, their mugshots plastered online. Vince got a reduced sentence for cooperating. Justice wasn't perfect, but it was enough. One night, Mia and I grabbed beers at the diner where it all started. "You could have run," she said, clinking her bottle against mine. "Why stay?" I shrugged, the ocean breeze cool on my face. "Because I'm not the guy who hides. Not anymore." She smiled, and for the first time I felt free. The betrayal was a scar, but scars tell stories. Mine was about losing everything and building it back better,